What's good with you NBA sports fans? This is your boy Oumar DoeJr. bringing you another NBA topic today. Now, of course, this season has picked up from the beginning of the season when everybody already knew that the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors were going to meet in the NBA Finals because of Kevin Durant's arrival and the Cleveland Cavaliers not really losing any pieces. So many of us NBA fans actually started looking towards who are going to be the next players that are going to come up and rise to take over the NBA when LeBron, when Dwayne Wade, when a bunch of the older cats kind of retire. And this list is going to be compiled of a bunch of players that are under 22 years old that have really shown star potential, and some of these players are pretty known and widespread. I'm going to put one of these players in that is on a small market team that is playing phenomenal, has improved his game from his rookie season, and he's starting to get some national spotlight, but he's not at the spotlight of all the other players that are on the list. So here are my 5 players that I think are going to take over the NBA within the next 4 to 5 years and really make a stamp and be a top 10 player in the league. Now, the first player to start off this list of the players that is going to take over the NBA, of course, is one of the hottest players in the league right now, standing at 6'6" and 20 years old, Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker is averaging 21.6 points and leading his team, and only his second year in the league. The same team that has the mini LeBron James, Eric Bledsoe. Super fast, super energetic, great at corralling rebounds, great at making passes, and is a great finisher around the rim. Now, Devin Booker on arrival did have a little bit of issues when it came to starting. All the other players on the list were kind of starters out the gate, but Devin Booker did have to face a pretty good player in Brandon Knight when it came to starting for the Phoenix Suns. Now, Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe, even though the team did not have anywhere close to great success with them, did have a formidable backcourt with them combined. They were above average, and Brandon Knight was more than serviceable for the Phoenix Suns. But Devin Booker's hard work and work ethic shined throughout his rookie year, and in his 27th game, he was able to get the start and has been a permanent starter ever since. His rookie year, he really did prove that he deserved to be on the court, getting 6 30-point games and 11 30-point games this season, which is just a great number and stat. He's had plenty of 25 above point games in the league, really putting up buckets. And of course, he recently just had his 70-point game, while mostly only shooting 2-pointers, layups, and mid-range game, which he torched the Boston Celtics in one of the best defensive teams. Now, he's only going to improve from here on, and with the moniker of being the next Kobe, I don't see how he's not the next Kobe. He's being mentored by Kobe. So his game's going to be fairly similar to Kobe. He's being mentored by Kobe, and he has more than enough skill and the work ethic to become the next Kobe. Now, I see him being a perennial all-star within his 3rd or 4th year. After that, he's going to be perennial all-star, which means he'll only be around 21 or 22 when he becomes a perennial all-star, which is going to be ridiculous. He's going to have plenty of all-star seasons. He can be a high-scoring machine for a championship team as well. I can see him being that scoring piece of a championship team that they just need to go out there and just get plenty of buckets. And he could be that player. And with his moniker and his future looking like he'll be the next Kobe, I will not be surprised if he's a top 5 player. Most definitely he'll be a top 10 player in the NBA. KarlAnthony Towns, 21 years old and standing at 7 feet tall. Now, he is one of the players that is one of the best big men in the game. Obviously, he's already risen to that status easily. Everybody knew he was going to be a superstar coming out of college. Everybody knew he was going to be a perennial all-star coming out of college, which led to, of course, his Rookie of the Year award, which he so rightfully deserved after getting more than enough double-doubles as a rookie. That's incredible. He's transitioned to the NBA level easily with his three-point shooting marksmanship that he leaves in his back pocket and his post-game moves that he uses all the time that he learned in Kentucky and a mixture of the mid-range, which just makes him a lethal player all around the court, really. And that's not even taking into account his defensive awareness. Now, at the moment, he's averaging 24.5 points per game, which leads his team with Anthony Wiggins and Zach LaVine still being on the team. Anthony Wiggins seemed to be, the next great wing player, and he has lived up to the billing in the sense of he's not a bust, but he hasn't lived up to the billing as being the best wing player in, even a top 5 wing player in the NBA. And he's averaging his own 20 points per game. And KarlAnthony Towns hopped in last year and this year and is now taking over the alpha male spot on the Timberwolves. But I'll talk about that later. At the moment, he's also averaging 12 rebounds a game, basically meaning that he's averaging a double-double easily. Now, of course, KarlAnthony Towns was a no-brainer with coming up with this list of the players that are going to take over the NBA. He, of course, is looking like he's going to be a perennial all-star after this year, and he has the potential to be the number 1 player in the NBA, the best player on the planet. After LeBron is dethroned by Anthony Davis, him and another player that I'm going to talk about later in the video have the best chance of dethroning Anthony Davis when it comes to the best player in the NBA. And one reason, of course, is because of his size. Second reason is because he's a lethal weapon all throughout the court when it comes to his post-game moves, mid-range game, and the ability to shoot the 3. And also his defensive prowess, which is he is a second-year player out of Kentucky, but his defensive prowess is not something to laugh at, and it's only going to improve from here with this humongous long wingspan to go along with this 7 feet tall body. Now, one other reason why I put him on this list is because when I compiled it, I went over players that would not have a hard time obtaining the alpha male role and the leadership role on the team that they're playing on, so they wouldn't be, how do I put this in polite words, a controversy later on like Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Pretty simple. And I feel like KarlAnthony Towns has already gained that leadership role and that alpha dog mentality and role from Andrew Wiggins, not Anthony Wiggins. Already from the Minnesota Timberwolves. As you see, as Andrew Wiggins is more inconsistent with his play and his defense, KarlAnthony Towns is more consistent. As you can see, he's averaging a double-double. Kristaps Porzingis, 21-year-old, 7'3" center, one of the tallest centers in the NBA today. I want to say the tallest, but there are some crazy tall D-League players that are in and out. Now, he finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting behind only KarlAnthony Towns, who I believe is one of the 2 players that can, go against Anthony Davis to be one of the best players in the world, the best player in the world. So that's not bad company to be in when it comes to Kristaps Porzingis. And most people were kind of split. Of course, many would lean towards KarlAnthony Towns, but there was an argument for Kristaps Porzingis for being the Rookie of the Year. Now, at the moment, he's averaging 18 points per game, which is second on his team behind Melo, of course, and he's second on his team in rebounds at 7.3. I will not be surprised if there might be a humongous uptick in that stat by the end of the season, by the looks of it, because of Joakim Noah's 20-game suspension, and he was the leading rebounder. He doesn't play fairly similar to KarlAnthony Towns, but they have the same skill set. Both of them can shoot threes. I think Kristaps Porzingis is a better three-point shooter, which is crazy staying at 7'3". Understand that there's no other player that could really go up and block his shot at an easy rate. They also have very nice mid-range games, and they can both work in the post. Now, KarlAnthony Towns can move more like Hakeem Olajuwon in the post with his moves. Kristaps Porzingis is more of a fadeaway shooter in the post. Both are still fairly effective. Of course, as you see by the stats, KarlAnthony Towns is a little bit more effective, of course, with 24.5 points per game. That can't be overlooked at all. But Kristaps Porzingis is still averaging 18. This is only his second year in the league. And with his inside and outside game, he is a lethal threat just like KarlAnthony Towns. And with that, I see him, of course, being a perennial all-star. You know, after, I would say 2 years from now, he'll be a perennial all-star. Melo will probably be out of the picture or will retire. And then Kristaps will have the Knicks organization in his hand, which a lot of people have been asking for because he is a very valuable gem. And he will be a top 10 player in the league for sure. Top 5 is hard to guess, but he will be a top 10 player in the league for sure. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Standing at 22 years old, he is 6'11", some say 6'10", the Greek freak himself. Only 22 years old and has already been named the next LeBron James by many people, me and myself included. I feel like he is the next LeBron James with his size, his length, his energy, his defensive prowess, and his skill set, which is crazy ridiculous. There's a reason why Jason Kidd wanted to put him as a point guard. There's no tricky, foolish reason why he was put at the point guard position, not to just look flashy, but because Jason Kidd sees and knows that he has the gift to pass the ball as well as put the ball in the hoop. And of course, it's the best way to put the ball in the best player's hands at all times. That's what Cleveland Cavaliers are doing right now, splitting time at point guard with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Of course, not so much since they acquired Deron Williams, but that is something that they do like to run because everything just nicely run when LeBron James is running the point. And so says the same thing when it comes to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, many people would already argue with me that, hey man, he's already kind of taken the league by storm. His first All-Star season already. Isn't it kind of too late to put him on the list? No, he hasn't really fully developed yet in my mind either. I mean, he's 22. He's starting to fill out his frame a little bit more, but he still doesn't have complete control over everything that he could be control of and max out everything that he has. I think he has plenty more to improve. He's made huge statistical jumps every single year, especially this year in his All-Star season, jumping up from 16 points from last year to 23 this year. And his team is not winning. It's just that simple. Once his team starts winning, I will put him in that class of he's already made it. But until then, he will be the next player to take over the NBA, which some of you, like I already just stated, already said he did. Now, that said, he's also averaging 8 rebounds per game and averaging 5.4 assists per game, which I think will uptake to probably 6. And if he hits 7 on that standpoint, I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised if he hits 27 points per game. You're literally looking at LeBron James. In his younger years, you can see the defensive tenacity that Antetokounmpo has, chasing down blocks. Also, always getting, he's pretty good with the steals too. I mean, at the moment, he's averaging 1.9 blocks per game. And every single now and then, you see a steal and a highlight dunk from Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is pretty great. He's already started his all-star run when it comes to making it back-to-back-to-back. And I do see him becoming one of those players, of course, as long as he doesn't get injured. And he can be the best player on a championship team as well. That said, he's also averaging 8 rebounds per game and averaging 5.4 assists per game, which I think will uptake to probably 6. And if he hits 7 on that standpoint, I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised if he hits 27 points per game. You're literally looking at LeBron James. In his younger years, you can see the defensive tenacity that Antetokounmpo has, chasing down blocks. Also, always getting, he's pretty good with the steals too. I mean, at the moment, he's averaging 1.9 blocks per game. And every single now and then, you see a steal and a highlight dunk from Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is pretty great. He's already started his all-star run when it comes to making it back-to-back-to-back. And I do see him becoming one of those players, of course, as long as he doesn't get injured. And he can be the best player on a championship team as well. We have to see how his game develops, of course. It's trending towards that LeBron James direction. Another player, including with KarlAnthony Towns, that do have the chance of dethroning Anthony Davis as the best player in the planet when Anthony Davis acquires that seat. Nikola Jokic, the 6'10 center for the Denver Nuggets. At 22 years old, in his second pro NBA season, he has an average of 16.3 points per game, which is second on his team at the moment, leading his team in rebounds at 9.6, so practically 10, shooting 58% from the field, and is second on his team with assists at 4.7, which isn't great, of course, but for a big man standing at 6'10", that is something that you don't find every single day when it comes to all the other big men in the game, especially nowadays, how a lot of big men are skilled as they are. There's still not that many assisting centers and power forwards, and he is one that kind of stands out, and he has a lot of really great standout passes that we've seen throughout the season, whether it's the hook around a defender, behind the back. He has vision. He doesn't have point guard vision, he doesn't have the best vision, but he does have vision for big men and has the ability to make the passes. Now, this Serbian stub has made an improvement from his last year's statistical categories, which was his first rookie season in the NBA. Pretty much, he's had a very substantial growth in his points per game, his rebounds, and his assists, because that was his first season in the NBA, getting acclimated. He has also improved from even the All-Star break and is jumping from those pre-All-Star break stats to now this post-All-Star break stats, and is really showing his improvement. He is a really good post player and does know how to pass out of the post as well as score in the post. Of course, he's not an outside lethal threat like Kristaps Porzingis, KarlAnthony Towns, but he can pass, which is something that neither of them has shown the ability to do at the level he can do it, which kind of sets him apart from a lot. And at only being 22 years old and having the vision and the ability to score the way he does, I wouldn't be surprised if he does potentially go and take over the NBA as being a top 10 player in the league. His improvement when it comes to his scoring, assists, and rebounds has even shown in the Nuggets record from last year when they were 30-52 to now they already have 33 wins. Even though they still have a losing record, they're vying for an 8th seed playoff spot. That rounds out the 5 players that I think are going to take over the NBA. Of course, none of them were really a surprise player. Maybe you guys were surprised by Nikola Jokic. I'm not really. A lot of these players have been touted as, coming into the NBA and being special from the second they were drafted. And a lot of them were really big hits, and a lot of them are very young. We have a lot of really great talent in the NBA. Now, if you noticed, I did not put anybody that was 24 years or older, because I feel like they've already made a nice little footprint in the NBA. Those players are already regarded to, being all-star status. When the video was made 2 years ago, then those players would be on it. But this video is made this year. So I'm really targeting the really, really, really young nucleus of stars when it comes to the NBA, and the NBA looks really bright on that standpoint. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe down low, and please leave a comment. Tell me any players that I didn't put in the honorable mentions or I didn't put in the top 5. I really want to hear them, and then who knows, I can make another video and kind of improve that. And I'll be making a video hopefully shortly in the future.